Today, we're diving into the story of a lost world, a real-life Atlantis swallowed by the sea that was once the heartland of Europe. For over 8,000 years, it was completely forgotten, hidden right under the waves of the North Sea. We're talking about Doggerland. So where does a story like this even begin? Well, it starts with this. In 1931, a fishing boat was working way out in the North Sea when their nets snagged on something. They pulled this up. It's a harpoon point, beautifully carved from bone with these tiny, sharp barbs. It was clearly man-made, but found in a place where no person could possibly live. And here's the real kicker, its age. Scientists figured out it was almost 12,000 years old from the tail end of the last ice age. So what was a Stone Age weapon doing at the bottom of the ocean? That one question, sparked by this one object, was about to unlock one of the biggest mysteries in European history. Because the answer wasn't a lost shipwreck or something washed out to sea. No, the answer was an entire lost country, a ghost beneath the waves that we're only now, with modern technology, beginning to map, revealing a world that was once the absolute heart of prehistoric Europe. You know, for the longest time, even after finds like that harpoon, scientists kind of dismissed the area. They figured it was just a land bridge, a soggy, pretty miserable strip of land that animals and people used to just cross over from Europe into what's now Britain. It was seen as just a path, not a place anyone would actually want to live. Well, turns out that was completely wrong.
So, let's go back. Let's travel 10,000 years into the past to see what Doggerland was really like. Because this wasn't some boring old land bridge, no. This was Europe's lost heartland, a massive, rich, and vibrant landscape, absolutely teeming with life.
Okay, so picture this. 10,000 years ago, the North Sea as we know it just didn't exist. Instead, you had this huge expanse of dry land connecting Britain directly to Denmark and the Netherlands. We're talking rolling hills, huge rivers winding their way to a distant sea, lush marshes, and sprawling forests. And this really gets to the core of our new understanding. Far from being some empty corridor, experts now believe Doggerland was one of the best places to live in all of Europe at the time. A true hunter-gatherer paradise, absolutely packed with food, herds of wild animals, rivers full of fish, wetlands full of birds. And the people there weren't just surviving, they were thriving. Using sophisticated tools like these, carved from bone and antler, they built a home. This wasn't a temporary camp, it was a homeland for thousands upon thousands of people, for generation after generation. It had its own history, its own culture, all of it now completely lost to the sea. But this paradise was living on borrowed time. Because as the great ice sheets from the Ice Age melted, all of that water had to go somewhere. For Doggerland, this was the beginning of the end, a slow and inevitable drowning. And this didn't happen overnight. It was this creeping, slow-motion catastrophe. So 10,000 years ago, you have this huge, solid plain. But just 500 years later, rising seas have already flooded the lowest valleys, cutting Britain off from the continent for the first time. By 8,200 years ago, that great heartland has been shattered into a chain of islands. And by 7,000 years ago, it's almost all gone. And the drowning got a massive push from this huge climate event. Around 8,200 years ago, an enormous glacial lake in North America basically burst its dam. All that fresh water flooded into the Atlantic, disrupting ocean currents and causing global sea levels to jump by as much as 4 meters. That's over 13 feet in just a few hundred years. For the low-lying islands of Doggerland, this was absolutely devastating. You'd think that's the end of the story, right? A slow, sad drowning. But no. As if the rapidly rising seas weren't enough, nature had one last, incredibly violent blow to deliver that would seal Doggerland's fate. About 8,150 years ago, an underwater chunk of Norway's continental shelf, a piece of land the size of Iceland, collapsed into the deep ocean. It's called the Storegga Slide, and it's one of the largest landslides known to man. It triggered a colossal tsunami that tore across the North Sea, smashing into Scotland, England, and the last remaining islands of Doggerland. Now, this is a really important point. It's easy to picture this one giant apocalyptic wave just wiping Doggerland out in a single afternoon. But the science tells a slightly different story. The tsunami was, without a doubt, a horrific, devastating event for anyone living on those coasts, but it didn't sink everything at once. It was more like a final, brutal punch to a world that was already drowning, a world that would still cling to life for a few more centuries before finally vanishing for good. So you might be thinking, if this entire world was completely erased, how in the world do we know any of this? How do you map a ghost? Well, the answer is this incredible combination of lucky finds and some seriously cutting-edge science. I mean, just think about it. For thousands of years, the story of Doggerland was totally lost, buried under the sea, then under layers and layers of sediment. The only hints we had were these tantalizing clues dragged up by fishing nets, that first harpoon or the bones of mammoths that had no business being in the middle of the sea. For most of human history, it was a total mystery. But today, we have this amazing toolkit to bring it all back into focus. Teams like the Europe's Lost Frontiers Project are leading the charge. They use seismic surveys, it's like giving the seabed an ultrasound, to map the ancient river valleys hidden below. They drill long cores into the sediment to find ancient pollen, which tells them exactly what kinds of forests and plants grew there. They can even find the layer of sand left behind by that giant tsunami. It's incredible. And the most exciting part is that this story is still being written. As the scientists on the project say, we are just now on the verge of being able to really explore this lost world. We're moving beyond just mapping it to understanding the people who live there, who loved there, and who lost their entire world. So the story of Doggerland is this incredible, epic tale from our deep past, but it's also a pretty chilling warning for our own time, isn't it? It's a powerful reminder that coastlines aren't permanent and that entire worlds can be lost to rising seas. Doggerland was one of the first major casualties of climate change at the end of the last ice age. And it leaves us with a really tough question. Which of our landscapes will be the Doggerlands of tomorrow?